Tremendous support for South African flyweight champion Andrew Matyila.
This sort of thing is always a bit disconcerting for the challenger. He knows he's not only up against a very good opponent, but he's also up against all the supporters in this venue.
And here he comes in that red outfit, being carried to the ring on the shoulders of his helpers.
Matyila seems to be having some difficulty actually getting into the ring. So fanatical is his support, but at least he's in there unscathed.
Yes,
Ladies and gentlemen.
he's made it at last.
Ladies and gentlemen, I would like the whole house to stand up for some few seconds, please, to give our last respect to one of the boxing greats of South Africa by the name of Charlie Silver Assassin Way, who has passed away unexpectedly, ladies and gentlemen. Will you please rise and give your respect?
Well, there's silence in the hall now. They stand in respect to the memory of Charlie Ware. There was a brief moment of silence in memory of Charlie Ware, who passed away yesterday. A great silver assassin and one of the favorites of South African boxing.
Certainly Charlie was a friend to many of us, and probably one of the boxers in this country that had so much charisma. He always pulled in so many people. He really had the imagination of this country going, and we really all feel for his family during their sad loss.
Ladies and gentlemen, this fight is brought to you by the Messiah Boxing Promotion, sponsored by the Old Buckfield. Ladies and gentlemen, these are the officials. Referee Mr. Kruger, judges Mr. Sidani, Bini and Matika, timekeeper Mr. Chetani, Dr. Pinan is at the ringside, and Mr. Oberholzer is the supervising officer. Ladies and gentlemen, let's come to the goal. These are the contestants. On my left, in white and blue trunks, weighing 50.25 kg, with an scintillating professional record of 19 fights, 15 wins, 4 losses, 12 KO. Ladies and gentlemen, I introduce to you, all the way from Johannesburg, Daniel Captain Peace Ward.
That's Daniel Ward, challenger here this afternoon.
And on the opposite corner, in red trunks, weighing 50.80 kg, with a scintillating professional record of 25, 16 wins, 3 losses, 1 draw, 5 KO. Ladies and gentlemen, I introduce to you the reigning and defending champion from East London, Andrew Rainfall Matyila.
Well, a polite ripple of applause for Ward and a roar of approval for Matyila.
Matyila certainly got a shuffle, his own version of a shuffle there. And we see there that he's had 25 fights with 16 wins, 3 losses and a draw, compared to Ward's 19 fights, 15 wins, 4 losses and no draws.
And of course, Ward says he hasn't lost 4 fights. He lost 1, he says, and was robbed in 3. So we shall see what happens this afternoon. That's a good way to put it, Kepler.
Yes, and certainly he'll have to be convincing this afternoon to take the title from the champion on home soil.
Well, referee Pete Kruger waiting to get this fight underway. There's the bell, start of round 1. Scheduled for 12. Well, Matyila, he is ducking very low, I think, Kepler. You know, of course, the rules say you can't go below the belt line of your opponent. He's going to have to watch that.
He is. using rather an unusual type of a style, almost a crab-like version of the bobbing and weaving.
And of course that means that Ward will have to punch down towards Matyila. Not the easiest thing to do in boxing.
No, it certainly isn't. Ward is just waiting for Matyila to do the work here, and he's waiting for him to come to him, hoping to counter.
Well, he better not wait too long, because he's going to have to pick up his work rate. I know he's got 12 rounds, but every one counts, and this is where quite a lot of boxers make a mistake, Kepler. They leave their work till rather late in the fight.
Definitely, particularly if you're the challenger, you've got to impress the judges from the word go.
Well, Matyila seems to have come out of that deep crouch that he had in the opening seconds of this round. In fact, he's even standing upright.
Ward is really using this round as a feeling out process. He's not leading up too often. He's just waiting for Matyila to do the work. And then tries to pick him off, but so far he's landing a bit short with his punches.
Matyila's got very good hand speed. He's managed to catch Ward with one or two very good shots. Good right hand over the top of the head.
Matyila does present rather an awkward target with that bobbing and weaving style that he's got. He has got good upper body movement, and he's using that at this stage.
Yes, he's using it to his advantage, and I would like to see more boxers do that. I think it's quite clearly putting Ward off, making it difficult for him to get his rhythm and range.
Ward is also finding it difficult to get in that right punching range. That was a much better jab, but so far he's been landing short very regularly.
Ward was rocked by another right to the head. And another. Stung him into action as we come to the end of round one. And let's go back to studio for an advertising break.
Hey, City Slicker. Hey, little man. You wanna be a winner?
Yeah.
Like 100,000 rand?
Yeah, yeah.
Buy the paper. Check your card for young and old. It ain't that hard. Find your number. Phone it through. Collect the prize. Waiting for you. Play the game. The Lucky Card Game. Every week. The Lucky Card Game. Buy the paper. The Lucky Card Game. Every Sunday in the People's Paper.
The Orient Theatre, we've seen the first round of this South African flyweight title fight between Andrew Matyila and Daniel Ward, and a very good round indeed for the defending champion, Kepler.
Yes, the champion started well. He was quickly into his stride, and Ward is having a few problems adapting to this bobbing and weaving style that Matyila is displaying. At this point, Ward will have to look to do a little bit more work, take the initiative away from the champion, and try and impress the judges that way.
Well, Ward was clearly stung, I think, on at least 2-3 occasions in round one. Matyila carries a fair amount of power for a flyweight, and that's something Ward is going to have to be careful about.
Ward just looks a little bit flustered at this stage. It just looks as if he's having trouble in sorting out exactly what Matyila is up to, and as if he's really having difficulty with his style.
Well, Matyla's got a very unorthodox style. I mean, this bob weave, the way he twists his body, it's quite clearly not the easiest man to fight. And he even moves his shoulders and his head. Lots of movement from the champion.
That was a very nice right, and as you said, Betty, he's got surprisingly quick hand speed for somebody that stands in the center of the ring and just moves his body around, and then he's got this quick hand speed where he unleashes combinations very effectively.
Well, Ward looks just a little bit too tight at the moment. He needs to loosen up a bit. And he certainly should try and get his punches flowing. As Kepler has pointed out, he's waiting to counter, and I think he's going to have to start leading.
He's just waiting a little bit too long, allowing Matyila to set himself and really allowing him to dictate matters at this stage.
As we mentioned earlier, one of the common opponent for both these boxers is Georgie Sabali, the former South African flyweight champion. Ward lost to Sabali on points. Matyila beat Sabali on points earlier this year.
That was a much better combination by Ward. Again, counter-punching. And hopefully for his sake, he'll slowly get into this fight. Nerves may be be a factor at this early stage, and he still seems to be quite tense.
Beginning to measure Matyila with that left jab. Needs to make better use of it. Hasn't quite closed that gap between himself and his opponent, but he did catch him with a couple of useful rights, but I thought there was a fair amount of slap there, Kepler.
Yes, there was. Matyila at this stage does seem to have the quicker hand speed, and he's throwing some very good combinations.
Second round, round number 3.
Round 3 of the South African Flyweight Championship fight. And Ward finding it very difficult indeed to try and sort out the unorthodox style of champion Andrew Matyila.
Ward's still waiting for Matyila to lead, and at this stage he will have to take some initiative in trying to put some more pressure on Matyila. He's allowing Matyila to fight pretty much the fight that he wants to fight at this stage.
Yes, and of course Matyila has such good hand speed that when he does lead, the punch invariably connects before Ward can react.
At this stage it seems to be a definite tactics on Ward's behalf to counter-punch his way through this fight. But at this stage, it's not really paying dividends for him.
No, he's going to have to do far more than that. He's got to impress the judges. Don't forget the champion comes from East London, and he's going to have, if Ward's going to win rounds, it's going to have to be by substantial margins. Well, suddenly Matyila has switched his attack to the body. And when Ward tried to counter there, he missed with both blows.
Every time Matyila lands, the crowd really gets behind him, and it must be tremendously motivating for him to hear the crowd reaction whenever he's landing.
Well, sadly, it's not doing very much for Ward, and particularly when he's missing so badly with his attempts to strike the champion. He simply hasn't found his rhythm or range yet.
Matyila is mixing it up quite nicely now, working to the body and following it up with some good punches over the top. He's got good rhythm in this fight.
goodness, that's a surprise.
That certainly came out of the blue. And maybe now Ward will put some pressure, go forward, and force Matyila to go backwards.
Well, he's backing up the champion here in the third round, having put him down with that long left. Ward has the punching power to put him down again. Wright's going over the top, getting through. Matyila goes down right on the bell.
That was a good round for Daniel Ward. He landed another right hand close to the end of the round, and that was by far the most convincing he's looked so far in the fight.
Now some replay from that last round, and you see the punch that sent Matyila going right back into the ropes and down.
The knockdown will give Ward some confidence, and he certainly needed it at that stage. He had to do something to get into the fight, and that may be a turning point for him.
Yes, he could well turn the fight around. Here at the start of the fourth. Round 4, scheduled for 12. And quite clearly, Ward's patience paid off in the third when he caught the champion with that long left to the chin and put him on the canvas.
He is pushing the champion back now, which is really not what Matyila wants to do. He was having a lot of success coming forward, moving his body around and putting pressure on Ward.
Well, that knockdown seems to have taken a lot of the confidence out of the champion. Matyila not quite as active as he was in rounds 1 and 2. Appears to be more defensive-minded here at the start of the fourth.
Ward's not waiting so long anymore. He's getting his punches off, and now the champion is backing up. So Ward has really turned the fight around.
Another useful right from Ward. Caught Matyila high on the side of the head. He's got the champion backed against the ropes.
Ward is looking a lot better moving forward and throwing some good combinations rather than waiting for Matyila to set himself and get his punches off.
Nice variety of punches coming from Ward. Very little coming back from Matyila. Well, that head movement of the champion still proving a problem for Ward. Missing with some of those shots he's aimed at the head.
Ward is letting his punches go much better now. He doesn't look as tense as he did early on in the fight. Shoulders are a lot more relaxed, and he's getting some good combinations through the champion's defense.
Yes, that knockdown at the end of the third round has done wonders for Ward. Well, that's the end of the fourth round, and for the moment, back to studio.
Uma ukukhwehlela kukuphazamisa impilweni yakho ematasatasa, phuza iWoods, isiraphu yokuqala yokukhwehlela ngaphambili. Ngenamandla eqeda ukukhwehlela ngokushesha. iWoods seyethenjwe ngabantu cishe iminyaka eyikhulu ukuthi iqeda ukukhwehlela ngokushesha, yenze impilo ihambe ngokosiko. enamandla eqeda ukukhohlela ngokushesha.
To the Orient Theatre on screen, you can see champion Andrew Matyila being spoken to by his loquacious manager, trainer, Lisha Mitcha.
Don't drop your left hand.
Referee Pete Kruger calling the men to the centre of the ring for the start of round 5.
Matyila scored with a nice right hand there. He's trying to get him close now and force Ward to fight like he did initially in the fight. Matyla's trying to come forward again and set himself.
Well, now we've seen some body movement from Ward, something we hadn't seen earlier. And he managed to take some of the sting out of that right to the head by riding the punch.
Whenever Ward allows the champion to set himself and get his combinations off, he runs into a bit of trouble.
Well, Ward is quite prepared to fight on the inside, and he just caught Matyila with a couple of useful rights to the head.
Matyila seems to have recovered a bit better now from that knockdown. He's coming forward again and he's trying to unload some combinations on the challenger.
This is getting back his rhythm and range and trying to back Ward up. Still has very good hand speed as Matyila. But Ward has got the confidence that was lacking in the first 2 rounds, and it's not that easy to force him onto the back foot.
Flurry of punches by the challenger, pushing the champion back again and really landing some telling blows.
Well, there has been very little to choose between the men in this round. There was a good uppercut from Ward. Caught Matyila as he moved on the inside.
Round number 6.
Round 6 of the South African Flyweight Championship fight. This is Bert Blewett and Kepler Wessels at ringside for Top Sport, and on our card we've got Ward slightly ahead on points at this stage.
Yes, he is, and that knockdown he had earlier in the fight turned it around for him, and he's looking good. He's setting himself nicely, he's throwing some nice combinations, and he looks a lot more comfortable than he did early on.
Yes, he's begun to stand up to the champion, not backing off as he was doing in the first 2 rounds. Matyila having his work cut out to try and regain control of this fight. Matyila going just a little wild with his punches. I think there's a sense of an air of desperation about him at the moment, Kepler.
Yes, he is. He's trying to throw a lot of right hands, and he is swinging them quite wide. So he does seem to be a little bit flustered and a little bit worried. Certainly his corner is urging him on to get into the fight and regain the initiative.
Ward took a while to warm up in this fight, but since round 3, he's been boxing very well indeed. But of course, whether he's boxing well enough to impress the judges is another matter altogether.
That is true. He's still waiting for Matyila to lead up, and then he's countering him with some good combinations. And he does look a lot more effective when he's going forward and not allowing the champion to get his punches off first.
Well, he just caught Matyila with a good 1-2. Referee Pete Kruger didn't like the way he threw his arm. I think the elbow was worrying him. But Ward is focused. You can see the intensity of his concentration, pumping out that jab, measuring his opponent.
Very good right hand landed by Ward. Both fighters are landing.
Matyila looks to be in a certain amount of trouble. He backs off from that exchange. And then we come to the end of round 6. Some replay from that 6th round, and there's a very nice net from Ward, a right going behind Matyla's head, and Ward used his elbow to keep Matyila down. Referee Pete Kruger didn't like that and warned him. Round 7 scheduled for 12, and this has been a engrossing South African flyweight title fight, but tremendous right from Matyila, I think it was.
Yes, it was. He has been trying to land that overhand right, and he certainly did, but Ward absorbed it well, and he's fighting back.
Well, Ward has taken those 2 punches exceptionally well. Probably caught him a bit too high to be effective. But the champion must realize this is too close for comfort, and he's trying to regain control of the fight.
Ward's got to try and keep pushing that left jab out to keep the champion off balance and to stop him from landing that overhand right.
Ward beginning to box from behind that left jab again. Looks so much better when he does that.
I think he has to do that at this stage. Keep piling up the points, keep Matyila at bay, and not allow him to set himself.
see that Ward has earned the respect of Matyila, because when they get to close quarters and Ward unloads, Matyila very quick to back away.
Matyila started the round off very well, but Ward's fighting back, and he's really putting together some excellent combinations.
Well, Matyila has tried very, very hard in this round to unsettle the challenger and regain control, but he hasn't succeeded yet.
It must have been disconcerting for Matyila when he connected with those two right hands early in the round, that Ward observed them so well and came fighting back.
Yes, it was punches like that that had Ward in trouble earlier in the fight, but I think those two perhaps landed a bit too high to be effective.
Round number 8.
Well, I suspect that Matyila realizes he's behind on points. He's certainly shown a lot more aggression here at the start of the 8th round.
He has to do that at this stage. He has to try and get the initiative back and try and dominate Ward. Ward is boxing quite superbly at this stage. He's using that jab well. He's also making Matyila miss, and every time he misses, he makes him pay.
Ward measuring Matyila with his left jab, waiting to unload the right. But it's Matyila who gets a right over the top.
Matyla's getting frustrated here. That left jab is really in his face all the time, and he's finding it difficult to set himself for his punches.
Yes, he seems to respond with wild punches. A useful left from Matyila, but Ward took it well.
That jab of Ward's working very, very well. He's just got to be a little bit careful that he doesn't get caught with one of those swinging punches that Matyila is throwing at this stage.
Well, Ward's giving Matyila the respect the champion deserves. Showing a little bit of caution here. Of course, what those punches have done, even though they didn't all land, is that they've caused Ward to become a lot more cautious, and he's not throwing nearly as much leather as he had done in the previous round.
This is a much better round for the champion.
Yes, Matyila appears to have momentarily broken Ward's rhythm. Trying to get it back by measuring Matyila with that left jab. Replay from that 8th round. And you see Matyila going over the top with those punches, catching Ward high on the side of the head, driving back the challenger. Round 9 scheduled for 12, and this has been a fascinating fight for the South African Flyweight Championship.
Yes, the fight could certainly still go either way, although at this stage we've got Ward slightly ahead on points.
Yes, and of course with the fight taking place in Matyla's hometown, I think the margin has to be more than slight if Ward is to get the decision.
Matyila is coming back well. He's starting to look better again.
And very noticeable that he's now boxing out of an upright stance. We don't see too much of that bob and weave we saw earlier on. Ward tried the uppercut, missed with the punch, and then quickly fired a right over the top. It was a very neat short right counter on the inside from Ward.
Matyila's face is certainly showing some scars of battle, whereas Ward at this stage looks relatively unmarked.
Got Matyila against the ropes above us, and he's cutting loose with both hands. Matyila forced to fight back.
And he does. He connected with a very good left-right hand combination. This is really turning into an excellent fight now, as both fighters are trying to wrest the initiative.
Another good right hand from Matyila. On to victory. Lots of support for the champion.
This is turning into a toe-to-toe struggle with both boxers unleashing some good combinations.
Well, this is going to be a hard round to score. Here's a replay from that last round, and you see Ward driving Matyila back against the ropes, cutting loose with both hands, forcing Matyila to fight back for survival.
out. Round number 10.
Well, here we are at the start of the 10th round, scheduled for 12. This is Bert Blewett and Kepler Vessels at ringside for Top Sport, and on our card we've got Ward slightly ahead on points, but as I said before, I think the margin has to be more than slight to win in East London. Before a very partisan crowd and hometown judges.
Matyila is looking a little bit more confident again. He's getting that bobbing and weaving style back more so than he did in the middle rounds, and a lot like he did early on in the fight.
Well, that can only mean that he's feeling a lot more confident. And that could make Ward's job a lot more difficult. We saw a good body shot from Matyila rather, and Ward came back with shots to the body himself.
That was good skill by both fighters. Ward got some good combinations off on Matyila, and Matyila used some lateral movement to get out of trouble, and they certainly really boxing beautifully at this stage.
Well, the crowd are cheering almost every punch that Matyila throws, whether they miss or whether they land. Now, the pace seems to have slowed just a little here in the 10th round, and that's understandable because this fight has been fought at a furious pace so far.
The last few rounds were very decisive in the outcome of this fight. Particularly Daniel Ward will have to try and wrest the initiative and try and dominate the last few rounds if he wants to take the title from the champion in his hometown.
He certainly cannot afford to rest on his laurels. He needs a couple of big rounds to win this fight. And there was a useful combination from Ward, knocked back Matyla's head with a left and a right.
He looks very effective when he boxes from behind that left jab and uses that to set up the rest of his combinations.
Seconds out. Round number 11.
Well, here we are at the start of the 11th round of this fascinating fight for the South African Flyweight Championship. It's been an excellent bout, very good boxing. And although we've got Daniel Ward ahead on our card, goodness knows how the judges are going to see it, Kepler.
Yes, that's right. It must be difficult to judge a fight like this when the crowd is pretty much one-sided in their support for a fighter, and one has to be very careful not to be swayed. That was a very good right hand there by Matyila, but as at most other times during this fight, Ward fights back all the way.
Well, Ward is standing his ground. When Matyila comes forward, he invariably counters, forcing the champion back. Matyila still has that very good hand speed. Still capable of beating Ward to the punch.
He certainly does, and Ward's got to keep pumping out that left jab and trying to turn it into a stiff left jab to throw Matyila off balance.
Ward has been shady in the last 2 or 3 rounds, and he really needs to take full control, because the judges might score those rounds even, or they might even go to Matyila.
Ward is doing well now. He's really getting his jab going, following it up by that straight right, and he's pushing the champion back.
Well, he looks so much better for it. Boxing from behind the jab, pouring on the punches, keeping the pressure up. And there's no question about it. Matyila does show signs of tiredness. He's winging his punches now rather than pushing them out straight.
This is a good round for Daniel Ward, and he really needed it at this stage of the fight.
Oh, that one went around behind the head, knocked down according to referee Pete Kruger, and that could make all the difference. Crowd don't like it. And there's the bell ending the 11th round. Well, there was that knockdown just before the bell, and that could make all the difference in the scoring.
Pass the hook can knock you down. Give the hook, you only punch the hook. Pass the hook, Danny, please, and keep the body. You can do it, Danny. All right? You get it? You start dropping your hand, champ. Come on. Come on, let me see how you box.
Shake hands.
Well, here we are, the start of the 12th and final round of this championship fight. It's been a real humdinger at the Orient Theatre in East London. And according to our scorecards, we've got Daniel Ward ahead on points. Whether the judges see it the same way remains to be seen.
Both fighters will look to finish this round off strongly to try and impress the judges for the last time. And yes, Bert, I agree. I think we've got Ward ahead on points at this stage, but as you said, one can never tell.
Well, Ward still looks to be in control. He's keeping Matyila on the end of his punches. And so far, the champion hasn't managed to get on the inside.
Ever since Ward started using that effective left jab that he's got, fortunes have turned for him in this fight, and that really has worried the champion.
A couple of good right hands from Ward. They rocked the champion. Matyila beginning to take quite a bit of punishment here in the 12th round.
Ward is having a storming last round, and Matyla's in trouble now.
Hanging on desperately, refusing to go down. But Ward is right back on top of him. A barrage of blows, driving the champion back into his own corner. And this time Matyila has to go down. Well, I suspect that Matyila is just trying to survive now. He's in desperate trouble.
Well, Matyila is hanging on for dear life now and trying to finish this fight on his feet.
Big right hand from Ward. Matyila hanging on desperately. The champion seems to have very little left.
Ward has paced himself very well through this fight and he's having a very, very strong finish.
He's got Matyila on the end of his punches. He can hardly miss with lefts and rights. There's the bell. That's the end of the fight. And on our card here at ringside, we've got Daniel Ward ahead on points. 3 knockdowns to 1. Surely we must give him the title. But of course, it's up to the judges, and we'll have to wait the official decision. Kepler, how did you see this fight?
Well, I thought Daniel Ward, after a slightly hesitant start, really took control of the fight. He got his left jab going. He threw some beautiful combinations, and he really dominated the fight, particularly towards the latter stages. And I think he's done enough to win.
Well, here's some replay from that last round, Kepler, and you can see how desperate Matyila was to survive the round. He was under constant pressure and attack from Ward, and my goodness, I don't know how he saw through those 3 minutes. The punches just rained down upon him as he went back again into the ropes and grasped the challenger around the midriff to hold on. More replay from that final round, and it's Daniel Ward on the attack, pursuing the champion, catching him with lefts and rights to the chin and forcing him to hold on desperately, refusing to go down.
It was a good fight all the way through. Both boxers really gave the crowd value for money, and certainly it was a worthy fight in South African title terms.
Well, Ward looks relatively unmarked after 12 rounds of furious fighting. Can't say the same for Matyila. He certainly got a bit of swelling on his face. And looking back over the fight, 3 knockdowns for Ward. Surely that must give him the edge in points.
Oh, well, in our view, without a doubt. And even without all those knockdowns, he still looked to be dominant. He really got his combinations together. He figured out Matyla's style after a hesitant start and dominated as the fight went on.
Well, we're waiting for the official decision. And although on our card we think Ward has won it, some strange things have happened here in East London, so we better wait and see what the judges think about it.
It was a very good performance by Ward, coming and fighting in the champion's backyard. As we said before, East London is not the easiest place to come and dethrone a champion, and he's done a pretty good job today.
Well, here's more replay from that final round, and you can see the men exchanging punches. Most of the blows coming from Ward, catching Matyila with solid shots to the head. Still waiting for this official decision. Well, they've taken an awful long time to come up with the official results, and that doesn't augur well for the challenger, Kepler.
Well, it certainly doesn't, but all we can do is call it as we see it, and certainly in our opinion, Daniel Ward did more than enough to win this bout.
Well, I'd be amazed if it goes the other way, because 3 knockdowns, and with Ward winning so many rounds. In fact, I've got him ahead by 6 points, which is substantial. I see you have the same. That's a substantial margin. And still we await the official decision.
Well, this is certainly not really encouraging, but one can only hope that in our view, sanity will prevail and that the decision will go the right way.
The judges are Mrs. Sazani, Mbini, and Matyila. Here's some more replay from that final round. Ward right on top. This was a very good finish for him. He certainly took full control of the fight in the final round. Stamped his authority on this fight.
Seems to be a little bit of confusion in the ring. There's so many people in the ring now that it's difficult to work out exactly what's happening at this stage.
Yeah, we can barely see the fighters. The ring is crowded with supporters, and don't forget those supporters are for the champion, not for the challenger. They're still checking scorecards by the looks of it. And now I think we are going to get the official result.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is the outcome
Here
of
comes
the
the result.
fight by 3 judges by a split decision. Judge Matyila 113, Ward 114. Judge Sazani Matyila 114, Ward 113. And Judge Mbini Matyila 113, the winner and the new SA champion, Daniel Ward.
Well, there you have it. We have a new South African flyweight champion, just by the skin of his teeth, I might add. Split decision for Daniel Ward, winner here this afternoon on points over 12 rounds. And with that, we return you to the studio in Johannesburg.